welcome to the Strategic CMO, balancing brand performance and AI this year. My name is Yalif. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Intellimise, which was an AI company to personalize websites that Webflow bought a year ago, and now I'm Webflow's chief evangelist. I've been a marketer putting AI in the hands of marketers to tailor digital experiences for more than 20 years, while at Twitter, Brightroll, Yahoo, and then Intellimise. We also have the privilege, as we were just hearing, of having Liz Spranzani here. And Liz, why don't you introduce yourself?
Thank you so much, Guy. I'm Liz Spranzani. I'm the CTO at Verndale. Verndale is a digital experience agency. We were founded in 1998, and we're headquartered in Boston. And what we drive to do is to help our customers grow real human connections as our world increasingly becomes more digital. And so for 24 years, I've been with Verndale, and I've worn pretty much every technical hat possible, because when I started, we were only 7 people, right? And now we're well over 300 people. And as CTO now, I really focus on two main tracks. I focus on our technical delivery and making sure we're doing that with great quality, as well as keeping ahead of what's coming in the technology curve, both for ourselves and also for our clients.
Thanks, Liz. Today's session comes out of hundreds of conversations with CMOs and CTOs. And our hope is that it helps you better lead your teams, guide your companies when you get back to the office. We're excited to have the conversation with you. Looking forward to questions at the end of this. And as we were just hearing, half an hour after this, we'll have a workshop just across the way where we can go deeper. So let's dive in. The CMO role has been changing as rapidly as it ever has before. And we're sort of at a relative peak of the pressure on all of us. We're getting squeezed. Now, to put context on that squeeze, I have a bunch of rapid fire questions. Not as deep as the Slidos we were doing before, but please, quick show of hands. How many of us have higher goals this year than we had last year? Yeah, that's pretty much everybody. We're seeing folks talking about 10, 20% higher goals. Now, how many of us have flat-ish budgets with those higher goals? That's most of the room, and we're hearing that very widely. 24% of CMOs say they have enough budget to get the job done. Now, compounding that, how many of us see paid media costs rising? Fewer hands than I would have thought. We're hearing a lot of people saying that's difficult, while SEO traffic is going down as Google adds more AI summaries at the top of search results. They've been on a multi-year steady climb of how many zero-click searches they have. It's about 60% now, and some people think that'll just continue. Last one, outbound. How many people are seeing it be less effective compared to previously? Fewer hands. I'm betting there are more that are feeling it. Especially when we have Gen AI enabling this proliferation of customized content. We're seeing it be less effective. And speaking of AI, a lot of people I talk to are feeling that the 70% wow-inducing Gen AI demo, the distance between that and 100% in production usable thing, that's a really long distance. And we're all feeling it. So all these signs point towards it being harder for us to go attract, whether it's paid or earned, the engagement that we need to go drive in order to deliver the revenue and pipeline that we're accountable for. So what do? We should invest more in getting everything out of the engagement we have worked so hard to get that's increasingly scarce, increasingly expensive. Liz and I believe this is the biggest thing we can do this year, and that mastering and balancing performance, brand, and AI will help us do this. Where do you focus? I humbly submit, you focus on your brand's front door. You focus on your website. Why? 1, 94% of B2B buyers go look online before they buy something. 2, 91% of us marketing leaders say, this is our biggest revenue channel. And by the way, it's the one that all the other channels touch too, right? Your website converts better, your ROAS, your return on ad spend goes up. 3, we've all spent a lot of time and money optimizing the $600 billion we spend every year buying, earning traffic. There's a lot of low-hanging fruit sitting and doing more with that traffic today. So with that as context, let me take a step back and talk about our two jobs as CMOs in this context. We need to go build brand, which we often do with emotion and storytelling, as you see on the left. And then we got to go drive performance, which we do with logic and numbers, which you see on the right. Ideally, those two are complementing each other and working well together, but all too often when things get tough, it's only performance that we get measured on. Two, it's the execs, the CEO, the CFO, the board, they want that performance. And three, it's the tech and human resourcing as AI is changing the use cases that are enabled for us, the things we can go do on a monthly basis. Does that resonate? We'll talk about each one in turn. Let's begin with the leadership challenge on your team. This fundamentally is about empowering your teams. So you've got brand teams that are like, hey, I want total creative control. And then I want to have consistency. I want to review things. We're trying to affect human memory. Of course they want that consistency and touch. And then you've got these performance teams that are like, I want to try the never been done befores. I optimize for speed of learning. I want to go experiment. And if I didn't quite get things on brand, so be it. How do you solve that? I submit that you want the brand team to set a playground in which the performance team can operate. You want them to lay out the brand. Often that's a style guide like this, but what's the voice? What are the colors, images, words, spacing? What are the concepts you want out there? And set that as a boundary, and then let the performance team run. Let them live inside that playground and let them run as quickly as they can. Often this is done with some part process and some part tooling. I would say that this is having the two teams work better together by having them work separately, because it's about one empowering the other. Engineering, how many people in this room, quick show of hands, takes more than 2 weeks to do a simple change on your website? Yeah, I saw 4 hands go up. I'm betting that is much more of the room. And engineering, we need enablement and empowerment and partnership from them so that marketing can run independently more often. We need engineers to do the stuff they enjoy doing more, which is not changing a word on a website. We want them to be able to go retain their top talent by having them do more involved things and let marketing run more quickly independently. This is often achieved with tooling. So to summarize, you want brand empowering performance. You want engineering empowering marketing so that each can run more quickly so that you can go deliver on the results you have for the year. Let's turn to the executives. You have the CFO, the CEO, the board really valuing near-term investment to deliver near-term results. And that makes things hard for us. The previous leadership challenge was more about process and tooling. This one is more about communication and alignment. I was at a CMO conference last week, another one, far less good than this one, where this came up, and there were widely divergent ideas on how to persuade the CFO and the board to go be okay with this. There was universal agreement that it is a problem. It's been a problem forever, and it's more of a problem this year. You survey CEOs, you ask them what their priorities are for CMOs, brand's not in the top 3. It's number 4. And so then you think, how can I have that conversation with them? For those that don't already get it, I invite you to speak their language. You know, brand doesn't show up in a P&L particularly easily. Pick some metrics that you can align on and say, hey, if we do that, this was a good investment. Some ideas. Blended CAC for the quarter, where in essence, you're investing for the future in brand while saying, look, the overall ROI for the quarter, our CAC, it's acceptable. It's okay. You can pitch to them, CAC will improve over time. We'll build pricing power in the market. CFOs love hearing that. We'll be investing for longer term growth. We will have resiliency in a downturn. You also could show them what competitors are doing, or in some cases, if they believe in it, media mix modeling can be helpful here in having the discussion with them. So this alignment on metrics, I think it's key to getting the CEO, CFO, and board on board. Now, how do we go to market in a way that has brand enabling performance, engineering enable marketing, and has marketing able to go to market more quickly with all the different capabilities and tools that AI is enabling? Let's ask an experienced CTO. Liz.
Thank you. Okay, so the simplest answer is to take advantage of the technology that literally exists right now today, especially in those systems that are driving your content and your website. Technology has been evolving dramatically lately, especially with AI, and it has evolved for this purpose. I would even go so as far as to say the CTO's primary purpose is to make sure the technology empowers and fulfills the needs of the CMO in marketing. Especially in your organizations, like that truly is our purpose for being there. And I believe that a lot of you agree with that. 96% of surveyed marketing leaders think they could better collaborate with engineering across all the functions. So the CTO team really needs to uphold the highest standards of quality and best practices while balancing that with the adoption of cutting-edge technology, all the while still keeping in mind their purpose, right? Your needs. So what I'd like to do is spend a little bit of time here diving into content management systems, the CMS, which is sort of that core platform that delivers that front door experience. So if we're looking at it aspirationally for how it's going to empower you, what should that look like? So first and foremost, it's SaaS. That's software as a service. That's cloud first. And it's headless. So why that? Moving to a SaaS platform is tremendous. It removes the needs for upgrades. It starts to really limit technical debt that you've built up. It eases deployments. It auto-scales infrastructure. These all are historically super time-intensive activities for technology folks. And when you go headless, it sort of breaks this dependency and these limitations when often in the past you were tied to code structures between the vendor and your front-end website. This results in it being much more performant as well. It should also be a composable system. What does that mean? That it can plug in pretty quickly best-of-breed platforms that might be a better fit for you. It should also have low-code features. This can remove significant amount of time. And now maybe you've heard about these things and think, oh, they talk about that, but it never is. This developer still has to do it. But this is really, truly becoming a reality right now. It actually started to terrify some of my developers for a while. They're like, oh my God, what about my job? And their job still exists. It's just totally different. And it really shouldn't be limiting you in the same way anymore. There's also AI enhancements threaded throughout the whole thing. I mean, it's amazing talking to what some of these CMS platforms, what the features are that are in there. And it goes way beyond just generating content and generating images. They can start to actually generate your content briefs for you, assign out the tasks for you. It can do all kinds of autonomous AI added into the website. So there's a lot of really interesting things. And really, what should this do? It should ultimately allow for marketing teams to become far more autonomous, to roll out the changes that you need to align to the campaigns that you need without needing a developer every single time. Now, if you get to achieve this architecture that I'm talking about and start taking advantage of AI in your operations, it will allow CMOs to shift where they're spending their time and their money to something a lot more valuable. And I have a couple things here, again, sticking within technology and platforms as an example, but an example is digital asset management, DAMs, CMP platforms. How many people have heard of content marketing platforms, CMP? It's a pretty interesting platform in that it really attempts to solve what happens before the content gets to your CMS, the whole marketing operations. By having a DAM and a CMP, what you start to do is you take those digital assets and those content as assets and put it in a place that can serve omni-channel, where website is just one of those channels. Additionally, with the guardrails that it has in place, it can really allow you to start to ensure your consistent brand voice and experience, and ultimately start to save you time. Another platform is customer data platform. I think that this has really gained steam in the last few years. CDPs connect platforms and data sources with that precious first-party data. And what it does is allows you to start to connect and really start to stitch together and create that 360-degree view of your customers. Because once you have that data, once you understand who they are, you can start to take that and activate on it. You can activate on it not just on your website, you can activate it on across channels. But personalization, A/B testing, experimentation, these are all things that I'm sure you've all been like, that's never been within my reach. Very rare do organizations actually start to do that on their web experiences or elsewhere. But what we're starting to see is if you're starting to limit that technical debt, you're not spending all your money maintaining the website or the experience, suddenly those things do become within your reach. And your time, which has always been spent doing a lot of these rote manual tasks, if you are using AI to help you do that, suddenly you may have the time now to be looking into these experiments and figuring out what you want to do. So I've talked a little bit about CMS, but navigating the CMS ecosystem is not simple or easy. They're all changing very frequently. Now that a lot of them are SaaS, what they're starting to do is roll these features out so fast. It's really hard to keep up. So what I want to try to do is just give you a little bit of an understanding of the ecosystem of the content management system platforms. And that's really bucketed into 4 groups. It's open source, DXP, headless, and low code. So open source. Open source are those free, no need for license platforms.
Free like a puppy is free.
Yeah, so I do like to say cheap is expensive. I've seen customers of ours decide, you know what, we're going to go away from a licensed platform, we're going to go open source. And they end up licensing plugins, they're paying third-party services for infrastructure, and there's no single accountable contact. So it ends up all adding up anyway. But what becomes really dangerous is without a license, without a contract, there's no legal recourse. So what happens when the authority of that platform decides, you know what, I don't really like what's going on here anymore, I'm going to shut it down, I'm not going to do this thing anymore. What can you do at that point? And we've seen that happen, right? We've seen that happen in the last few months. Then there's DXP. These are the digital experience platforms. These are the really big players. They are tried and true, right? Their product does perform well. But really what they're offering is a whole bunch of products within their suite. CMS is just one piece of that. And it's super expensive. I mean, I've seen licensing frequently, annually, be $500,000 or more to have these products. There's a benefit of staying in suite, right? Maybe you can get some price breaks if you're going to use the different products, or there's better interoperability. But you start to sacrifice best of breed, right? So think about this. Think about the CMS might be in the top left quadrant, a leader, but maybe their marketing automation platform isn't, or maybe their DAM isn't. And so now you're pressured to stay in suite, even though there's maybe a better fit product for you outside of that suite. Then there's headless. Headless means basically that the code of the platform is not wrapped up with the code of your website. And the reason I have a category for this, because all the rest of these categories have headless as well. But very specifically, there's a category for this because there's certain CMS platforms in this category that are very purposefully built to be content flexible with API, and they're not open source, and they're not DXP, and they're not low code. And so they sort of get their own category here. And quite frankly, although flexible, they're not necessarily easy, they're not necessarily inexpensive, and you're often responsible for managing your own infrastructure, releasing your website. And often with these, marketers are unempowered because there's not typically a front-end interface to help you sort of manage that without a developer needing to be involved. So those platforms are trying to bootstrap now, sort of front-end builders onto them, but they're definitely behind where a lot of the others are. And then low code. This has changed significantly in recent years. It used to be simple, templated, limited in customizations, definitely not enterprise, definitely not. Now it allows for bespoke design experiences, dynamic content, They often have personalization, A/B testing built in. This is one of the reasons why my company has started to get involved with Webflow. We primarily had been in that DXP world, and now we're getting more involved in Webflow because it's just amazing how far the technology has come. Additionally, they've evolved to be enterprise grade, adding in workflow, fine-grained security roles, guaranteed uptimes, CDN such as Cloudflare. So to sum up with this, with all these different types of platforms, what you all need to do is really understand what fits for what your needs are. Now that you kind of see these buckets, what matters most to you and what's going to drive forward and really empower you the best. Now, I've went through platforms, but let's focus in on the AI piece of this a little bit more. How should CMOs think about where AI helps them to do each part of their job, right? And we can kind of bucket that into building brands, delivering performance, and strategically driving your company forward. So first, around brand support. AI delivers effectiveness. So AI integrates into a lot of these content platforms I was telling you about, the CMS, the CMP, in a way that allows it to be brand context aware. So the recent releases of all of these are allowing you to upload brand documentation, brand guidelines, style guides, uploading it into that, and then it uses that context in the generation of what it does to help guide you, as well as compliance in what your marketers are doing within those platforms. So basically, it ensures your brand voice and your visual brand representation in the content, in the website, in whatever it generates, matches your brand and stays on task there.
In performance, AI, is helping drive efficiency. And half a dozen ways we see that happening today in market. One, generating content. Hopefully it's on brand. Everything from a CTA all the way through to like a whole bunch of blog posts all at once. Two, generating video and images. Plenty of work left to do there, but still helpful. Three, in experimentation, it's really useful. It can help you ideate the next experiment, create content for the experiment, run the experiment, and then summarize the results. Different kinds of AI for different parts, but can be useful in each. Then as you think about personalizing, in a world where you've got effectively infinite content with Gen AI, it becomes so much more important to be able to show the right content to the right person. Predictive AI, not generative, predictive AI has been leading the way there and probably will for a long time to come. Other places we use it every day, product recommendations, content recommendations, and finally in optimizing campaigns, whether they're paid, emails, chatbots on our site, or more. That's AI helping drive performance.
And then finally, in that strategy support, AI informs choices. This is actually one of the most exciting areas for me personally, because I have to do a lot of research in my job as well. AI can contribute throughout your entire marketing and business strategy. So one way is it's helping to shape the prospect journey. And it's embedded. You're literally obviously can embed it inside of those touch points, those website experiences. Maybe that's contextually aware search. It could be a chat assistance. It could be autonomous agentic task execution. It's used to understand user journey, as well as the success of those experiences. Like, how well is it working? How are people moving through the journey that you've put out there and through that experience? So it focuses investments in areas of high drop-off. Can look at traffic patterns and understand what that means. It can look at your A/B testing and understand why something was successful or not. And it's really useful in analyzing all of that data. And then also for competitor tracking and market understanding, it's amazing at doing research. Whereas one human could maybe research 1 or 2, 3, 4 sources, it can go out and analyze 20 of them in 12 minutes. And then it can come up with a summary of that. And now with autonomous agents, you can set it to say, hey, go do that every single week so that you're always up to date and it's always providing those insights.
So on your site, it's the CMS. That's the landscape where this happens that Liz was just teaching us about. And ultimately, you want that CMS and this AI helping build your brand, reinforce it, and drive performance and have those be consistent. But then you might be thinking, okay, well, I'm going to go try some AI. How do I set that up for success? And we talked earlier about the CTO empowering marketing. What questions do we as CMOs need to ask our CTO partners to get empowered? Liz has a lot on both of those.
Sure. So I actually gained a lot of these by going to the CES conference back in January and listening as much as possible to as many C-level people talk about how they're using AI and how they enabled their businesses to use AI to come up with all of this. So I actually didn't use ChatGPT to do it. But first and foremost, make it easy to try. Lower the barrier for entry, right? Make it, if there's licensing involved, make sure that they get some licenses to go ahead and try something. Number two is you want to remove resistance. There's a huge change management aspect of this, right? So you need to make people feel comfortable in doing it and kind of proactively see what they might be worried about. There's going to be all kinds of concerns regarding it, or wondering how it's going to upend what they're trying to do. And I think it's important to sort of get ahead of that and make people feel comfortable. But you don't want to wait for it to get better. Literally every day it's getting better. So if you keep waiting for it to get better, you're just going to be waiting forever and you're going to fall behind. So my recommendation truly is start to build that muscle and have people building the muscle of thinking about AI. But be very intentional, right? You want to make sure that they understand what you're trying to help them get out of it. Additionally, you want to make sure you measure and show ROI. It's not free. It's going to incur a cost. So you want to make sure that the value you're getting out of it is more than the money you're putting into using it. You want to focus on the top 2 or 3 mission critical items, and you want to rebuild use cases from the ground up. So basically, you want to also think about AI agents as team members.
Sorry, we're running low on time.
That's okay.
But maybe if you could continue on during the
workshop, and if there's any other questions for you guys.
And it's just a taste of, I've got the top 10 questions that you would want to ask your CTO to make sure that you're being empowered and that that they're thinking about and then are aligned with you on how to move forward with all of this.
And so we'll wrap in 60 seconds. 3 things we hope we leave you with. 1, we know it's harder for us to generate the engagement we want. We think using brand performance and AI to wring more out of the engagement we have is critical. 2, partner with that CTO to go empower the marketing team to run quickly. And 3, your CMS and AI should help you build your brand and drive performance. One other thought I realized I didn't do for those that don't know Webflow, 1 line. Platform to help marketers, designers, engineers build, manage, and optimize websites that build your brand and drive revenue. And finally, we'll be across the way in 30 minutes to continue the conversation if you'd like to. We hope this helps you lead your teams and guide your companies going forward. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.